We're live. Ladies and gentle freaks, tonight we got a man who don't just take photos of knives, he resurrects them. So when a blade's been beat down, worn out, forgotten in a drawer, he sees potential, he sees character, he sees a second life. This man takes tired handles, turns them into showpieces, and he takes factory plane, makes it custom fire, recovering, rehandling, reimagining knives like a true craftsman. You've been on Instagram, you've seen the transformations. Josh Francis, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Josh.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on, bud.
How are you? Yep.
Also with me tonight is Grady's Gear, Chris, and Replica EDC. And let's look at the comments real quick and see what we got going on. We've got Ground Fog up in here. What's up, dude?
Ground Fog.
Henry?
What's up, Ground Fog? Henry, Christopher, Marco, Levi,
Ricker.
Pocket Dump.
Pocket Dump. What's up?
Hey, everybody. Good to see y'all in the chat. Thank y'all for hopping on. We're going to have fun, talk a little bit of knives, talk a little bit of modding, and see what's going on. Josh, so, hey, man, where can people reach you at?
Well, the best way is on Instagram only because it's a lot easier. I do have an email set up on Gmail, KnifeGuyMods@gmail.com.
Okay.
Instagram is easier to get a hold of me, only in a sense it's easier to do the chat, whereas the email, I kind of, type something up, send it out, wait for a response, whereas, Instagram's more like a chat. If somebody's curious about what I can do, I can quickly take a picture of something I have around here, like if I have materials and stuff, and I can do that with email, but it's just a little faster with Instagram. But I also understand not everybody has it.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram, but that's it. I don't do Facebook or any of the other stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't like the email format, the way you chat. It just messes
it bogs
it
it down.
It's hard to keep up with.
Yeah, and it just bogs it down.
Yeah.
So I got a question. What does your normal everyday carry look like? I know that you're a knife modder, right? So you mod a lot of different knives and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Do you carry any of the knives that you mod, or do you just carry something like a regular piece, or what? What does that carry look like?
I do have a couple pieces that I modded that I kept for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I do have modern slip joints too. But I also I'm really a fan of the modern stuff. I was never really brought up with the older style jig bone slip joints kind of thing. I have a few from my great grandfather and even my grandfather, but my father was never really into that, so I was never brought up with it. I've developed more of an appreciation of it over the years, especially being a part of the community and talking with people. And the more I know about them, the more I develop more of a respect for them. But at the end of the day, a one-handed opening knife is still my typical go-to. As far as my everyday carry goes, I'm not allowed to carry any knife at work for safety purposes. The company I work for is really they're a pain about safety. So that's their excuse anyway. Previous companies I've worked for in manufacturing, they didn't want you to carry a knife because, you get mad at each other and yada, yada, yada. If you were in maintenance, you could have a Swiss Army knife. That was about it.
Right.
There's a lot of companies like that now. They don't want you carrying a knife at all.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. How does that work with you and Walmart? They're a bigger company.
Go ahead and finish your meal, Mike.
Well, they don't really want you to have pocket knives.
Right.
They have a certain box cutter that is, I guess, approved.
Yeah.
So you can use that certain box cutter.
It gives you just like a half an inch of cutting space, and if you put too much pressure on it, it automatically retracts. So it's almost impossible to cut yourself with it.
But I will say this. I use this as I don't know, not really an excuse, but I'll carry a slip joint with me to work. And I put it in a slip. It's down in my pocket. Nobody sees it. And I really only pull it out and use it for stuff that I can't use a box cutter with, like something that I more or less use it as a tool. Some things box cutters can't do.
Yeah.
So we also use tools at Walmart too, like drills and screwdrivers and things like that. And so I use it only in an instance where I might need to actually have a knife, a pocket knife. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I get around that. So I mean, it's not really, you're not supposed to have them.
Yeah.
My job setting is the same way. I carry the same type of safety cutter that Mike does at work. I work warehouse, and they're big on safety, so we can't. They're like really big on like no pocket knives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I still carry a pocket knife every single day. I just don't like whip it out in front of like management and stuff like that. You know, I'm not doing crazy stuff. But like what Mike said, like I use it for everything that my box cutter can't do. You know what I mean? The one thing I will say, like we have these things called Fastenal machines where we get everything that we need, like our box cutters, our gloves, all of our PPE gear, highlighters. We get Sharpies because we use a lot of Sharpies to mark down for order pulls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like whenever we get our gloves and stuff, they come in this packaging. It's this plastic packaging, but the box cutter is almost like a hook, and you can't get it into the plastic packaging. So I use my pocket knife to open up the packaging to get myself new gloves all the time. Yeah. So I totally get what Mike's saying about the whole work thing. I just try to be discreet with it and stuff.
Yeah.
How deep are you into the EDC game, Josh? Do you carry around like pry bars, flashlights, pens, all that good stuff?
Typically, no, and only because I really don't like things in my pocket for the most part. I really don't. I mean, I do. I don't even know where it went. I do carry a pocket knife, and I do. If I do carry a pen, I'll give them a plug here. I got this nice pen I had custom made by Refined Ink on Instagram.
Oh, nice, dude.
It's got a crosscut vintage micarta, and it's got the brass hardware, and it's a turnstile.
That is sweet.
Nice and short. It's not a clicker, but I like this. But I have taken this to work, but then I'm so freaking paranoid that I'll lose it or somebody will snag it, and that'll.
Yeah, that was nice. I like that pen. How much does that pen run, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, God. I want to say around 50. Don't quote me, though, on that.
Really?
Ballpark.
That's cheap.
It might have been a little more. I really can't remember.
There's a good question from Pocket Dump Diary. Do you own any traditional pocket knives that you want to mod, but you're worried about losing value?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you own any traditional pocket knives that you want to mod, but you're worried about them losing value?
Do I own any? It's not so much that I'm worried about losing the value so much as, like, for instance, my GEC 21 here. It's 21? The Bullbuster. I could mod this, and I have put new scales on these, but quite honestly, they do a really good job with these knives. So, like this one I bought for myself, I don't have a burning desire to mod it. At least in this case. So yeah, that's that. And the other one I have here I can show off is this GEC, Remington bullet knife made by GEC. I can't remember the model number, but I just don't want to mess with it. Not so much for value, just like it's in this case, it's fine the way it is.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, that one's beautiful, dude.
Yeah, thanks. This was a score for sure.
So that being said, do you have like a normal case Sawbuster Junior that you wanted to make yourself and you made one yourself to carry?
I did it. I haven't made a Sodbuster Junior that I end up keeping for myself. The first couple that I did, I ended up giving them away because when I first started, I'll show it here. This is the first folder I ever did. It's a Baron Son farmhand. This was like the first folder I ever put together. It's just straight micarta slabs. You know, this was years ago. Nobody was doing them now at the time like they are now.
Right.
And this one I did just as a kind of proof to see if it could be done, and it can be. Obviously, it's a little rough. We got wicked space here between the back spring and the micarta, and I used, not knowing any better, I used stainless steel pins, and stainless steel is actually very hard to peen. So, yeah, it's not that great, but I keep it just because it was the first folder I ever put together. And, but yeah, I did that, and then I have one here that I recently got repossession of because my father-in-law recently passed away. This was one I made for him when I first got into him. This was like the second or third folder I ever put together. So it's a Sodbuster Junior. It's an older one too. You can tell by the spacing of the rear pin up here. It's higher up there than they are now.
Yeah.
I kept the brass liners and I recovered it in Americana G-Carta.
Nice.
It's a little blockier than I usually make these days. And I didn't even put a half. This is before I even started doing the half stop thing. So, but I'm going to clean it up and give it to somebody else within the family. So, but yeah, this is, I currently don't own one. I did have one at one point and I ended up selling it to somebody.
So let me ask you this: what do your mod charges start at? Like, let's say I want to get a mod from you, and I want you to mod a Sodbuster Junior for me and put me on some new scales, kind of like that one that you just showed me, or whatever. How much would something like that run me?
It pretty much starting price currently will be about $85, and that'll include shipping.
Okay.
That could change down the road if you people see this several years later. But that's the starting point, and that's if you send me the knife. When I first started doing it, I would just buy these things all the time and do it. But as you all know, especially with the Sodbusters, the quality on them is a little so even though I wasn't really taking responsibility for the half-ish quality, I kind of didn't want to spend the money. I was like, okay, you can buy the knife, or even if you already have one, send it to me, and then I'll do it. Now, that being said, I do occasionally still buy them and recover them if I'm slow and got nothing better to do, like this one I did recently. This is just a stainless steel Sodbuster Junior, and I did it with Rainbow Trout G-Carta and blue G10 liners.
That looks cool.
And I put a half stop on it. I put this up on Instagram, and nobody really bid on it. I think it's because it's stainless. Nobody really. I've noticed a lot of people are not too much fans of the stainless ones. So this was just kind of sitting around here, but it is available if anybody wants.
Anybody in the chat, if y'all are interested, he's got that one up for sale.
Snag it. Those handles look cool, bro.
Yeah, I do like working with G-Carta. It does take a while, especially to hand sand, but he's got so many patterns that you can make very interesting pieces. And so I kind of made this to be like an actual like fishing knife. I know it's kind of on the nose with a fish pattern, but completely stainless. The pins are nickel silver. The G10, like this is about as stainless as you're going to get in a Sodbuster.
Right.
And I will say, I know a lot of people can test this, and I do. When you do eliminate those brass liners, and don't get me wrong, for certain applications they're great, and they do add some rigid feeling to it. But I will say, when you ditch those and replace them with G10, these things get way lighter. You'd be surprised when you ditch the brass liners how lighter these get.
Oh wow!
Like I said, it's not much, but in a small knife like that, it's really actually the large Sodbusters, which I've done a lot of, then it's really noticeable.
So speaking of Sodbusters, we got JC mounting a jar in the chat, and you recovered a Sodbuster for him that came out freaking awesome, dude. That Sodbuster you recovered for him, beautiful.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, that's the one that's the segmented scales.
That came out awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. For the record, though, I am starting to play around with doing the partial scales where there's like a bolster and then it's broken up into different materials. Those were made by somebody on Instagram that does that professionally. So for the record, those are not my scales. I put them on there and used them, but I didn't actually make those scales.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
So have you made skills like that before?
Huh?
Have you made skills like that? Like put them together like that?
Yeah, I have actually. JC had me make one for Jersey Knife Guy that he put on his channel not that long ago. Those ones I did make, but you get some of these patterns. Like I have this set of scales that I bought for me for some project down the road. These are made by Woods by Moeller, and this has got some swirl green G10 with crosscut vintage, and that's a carbon fiber middle piece in there. Yep. With, of course, G10 liners.
That's awesome.
So that's one thing I would suggest to anybody, too, if you're kind of on the fence and you're not sure what you want, especially if you want something. Browse all the knife supplies, or, I mean, especially Instagram, but like the makers like this who make scales like this. I can obviously get it, but let's say it's a little much up front. Buy the knife, sit on it a little while, or if the scales are dropped, buy the scales and sit on them for a little while. I have had people send me scales that they bought, and for whatever reason, they didn't get anything made with them, and then they send them to me. So if you've got that twirling in your head and you think, well, it's going to cost this and that and this and that, you can buy it in increments. And if you have the patience, which I am not a patient man when it comes to buying knives, so I get it. But that is an option too. If you kind of see something, or if you're browsing, or you see some G-Carta, or especially the vintage micarta.
What's your so speaking of like handle materials, what is your favorite material to work with? Like what's the easiest to work with? And what's the material that gives you the most problems? Like the material that you don't like working with all that much?
The more fabric-y based materials, honestly, like G-Carta. Here, I got a piece of it here. This is just a piece of Americana G-Carta. Because it's so fat, it's like made of cotton. So I think Greg uses a duck cotton, he calls it. It's basically like this stuff and denim, like jeans, denim micarta. Those are the biggest pains to work with because they're brutal on sanding belts. They don't cut so bad. And the hand sand, well, G-Card is a pain when it comes to hand sanding, and everybody that's worked with it will tell you that. Even Greg will tell you that. But the more fabric-y stuff, it's really rough on the sanding belts because it's soft. It's like when I do G-Carta, I can only take the material so thin. If it gets too thin, it bends, and I don't want to say it'll break because it is a tough material, but it is flexible. So it just wears away at the belts really fast. So that's probably the biggest pain to work with, in my opinion. Oddly enough, you wouldn't think it, but like your vintage micartas, like this vintage cross-cut stuff that was from Westinghouse, this is actually not bad to sand at all. It stinks, but it smells bad, and that's actually how you know it's the good stuff. It stinks. This stuff's actually pretty good to work with as far as that goes. But honestly, G10 finishes quick. I don't know if it's because it's so rigid that the belts just rip right through it. And actually, carbon fiber is the same way. Carbon fiber is messy. That I will say is the worst part about it, but it does finish fast. So there's kind of a trade up there.
Okay. What up, Mick Ranger?
So you got a cool story behind the way you started modding knives. I think people that don't know who you are would love to hear. So how did you begin modding knives, and then bring that up to when Erica discovered you?
Okay, so it honestly started. Originally, it started as just something to do. What's the saying? Idle hands are the devil's tool.
Yeah.
whatever that is. My father always used to say, a man needs a project. I mean, yeah, you got work, but you need a project. You need something to do to just keep doing something, even if it's for fun, not just home stuff. So originally I started playing around with some fixed blades, because those are the easy ones. Fixed blades, you get the blank. You can get the blank, no handles, no nothing. It's sharpened, it's heat treated, ground, ready to go. I did a Condor one, and actually I still have this. I got a Mora knife. They do sell the blanks, the little rat tail. So this is like the earliest knife. One of the earliest knives I ever did. I put 2 pieces of G10 together and just stuck this Mora blank in there, and here's my handle. This is another reason I keep this, is to kind of reminder of the coming up days, if you will. But when we took apart our kit, when we remodeled our kitchen, I used this, and I'll tell you, when you get these sharp, they're really tough.
Nice.
So that's how it all started as a project. And, after a while, you start to, you can only give away so many, especially with knives. And leather's one thing, and certain other crafts are another thing. But the price of knives eventually gets up there to the point where you're like, okay, I only need so many. Now, I've done a few, like this fixed blade I did. This is just a simple Damascus steel that you get on knifekits.com. Nothing overly special about, but I like the look of it. And I put some vintage emerald paper paper micarta on. Kind of regretting that, only because of how rare the stuff is now, but it is what it is. And I still use this. This hangs up in my kitchen after all these years. And so fixed blades really were the beginning of it for me. Find where did I put it? I had one around here. Oh, here it is. And then this was I think this was probably the first knife I ever posted on Instagram. This is like it's not an Essie Azula, but it's very similar, kind of I can't remember. I think the name of the company was Kangaroo Mouse, was what they called it. They went out of business, and they were selling them dirt cheap on Knife Center. So I got one of these. This was like the first fixed blade I put together that was actually good, in my opinion. We've got micarta pins here, and it's the I think it's camo black and green, and black, green, and brown micarta. It's a little rough with the finishing, but I actually did a cold blue on it, like you do with gun barrels.
Yeah.
So this was like the earliest thing, and I gave it as a gift to my father. Unfortunately, now I have it back, but it started off with these, and it really, with the folders, especially with the Sodbuster like this, although this is the Baron's son, it really was just the fact that again, not growing up as a particular fan of jig bone and some of the other things that cases typically come with. But at the same time, I am more of a fan of the single blade knives as opposed to the trapper style with the multi blades. I mean, they're good, but I'm more akin to a single bladed knife. And they didn't have any of these with micarta a few years ago. I mean, I know Case does one now. I think there's one Sodbuster they do that's just straight micarta, but years ago they weren't doing that, and the only ones you could get were GECs, and we know how hard those are to get.
Right.
So, and Sodbusters are cheap enough to where you're not going to break the bank to buy one and play with it.
Yeah, true. I mean, I wonder how many you could mess up while you're trying to get it right. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I've messed up a few. I mean, if you go back into the earlier posts there, one of my biggest frustrations with these is getting the blade centered, because we know, thanks to GEC, that's the cream of the crop, so everybody prefers them. But we know with Case, it happens. You can get them centered, but it's hard. And for me, I can't make them centered. I try as I might, but if you talk to Patrick over at Box Creek, he'll tell you that they're not. It's hard to get them centered. You try, you peen it one way, peen another, try to play with it, but it doesn't always work out. So I remember watching a couple videos of people suggesting with your slip joint, put it down and tap it with the hammer or whatever. Well, I ended up snapping one of the blades, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I've messed up a few over the years. Not too many that bad. That was the worst one.
Yeah, and that's a good reason not to like buy the knives first and then mod them.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how you're going to get it. It could be a piece of crap, and the
Well,
liner's
yeah.
won't be right, and it'll never be centered. Then
Yeah.
when they finally get it, it looks like your work is garbage.
Yeah, and I put it out there, and I'm more hard on myself probably than I should be with that. I think most people that get a sodbuster know that. I mean, obviously, if I mod, I try to center it as best I can, and sometimes I can, but I don't know why. Sometimes it just happens. JC, with that one I did for him, I was so happy that thing was centered, because I'd have been very unhappy with how well those scales worked. If it had been uncentered, that would have really upset me.
I love that one. That's the most beautiful sodbuster I've ever seen, dude. And that's
Yeah.
no lie. I love that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. And like I said, if that's something you're into, Woods by Moeller is the guy who makes these types of scales. Flying Shark Knives on Instagram makes them too. Go search and look through, because they usually do drops, or you can. I think you can. They will make custom stuff. It might take a little while, but if you have something cooking on in your head, and you think, well, maybe that would look cool with a sodbuster, get the scales first, or you can ask me. Tons of people ask me all the time, could you do this? Yes or no, depending on what you want with the scales. A lot of times, yes.
That's
Do you
cool.
have a local shop near you that you can go and buy a sodbuster? Okay, sodbuster? Like that you can see the fit and finish on it?
Tractor Supply near me used to have them. Last time I went in there, they did not carry any knives anymore, except for like the whatever that brand is of cheap. I don't want to say mossy oak, but one of those brands. They did have a case a while ago, and I had bought a sodbuster or two from them, but I went in there recently after a while, and just they didn't have them. So I have done that before. We were on vacation in the Adirondacks, I think a year or two ago, and there was a local hardware store, and they happened to have one sodbuster, one Delrin sodbuster in the case. It clearly been there many years, because it was an old CV one, so I snagged it. I didn't even care. I was like, CV, yes. I know people will take that.
Yeah, a lot of the sodbuster guys like the CV way more than the stainless.
Yeah. So, talk to us about your relationship with Erica's EDC. You said that your business kind of took off after you met her. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when I started talking to her. It was through her. Christ, I think I started following her before I was even on Instagram, on her YouTube channel, or at least around that time. I can't really remember, but she'd been talking about knives, and especially at that time, I was watching so much knife content, because I was just getting into it. So after not being into it, because I didn't really grow up in the know of the community, I really came into it a lot later.
Right.
Like this, I have this buck. What is it here? 285 Bantam. I carried this through all my teenage years. Like, I actually posted this a couple of years ago. Mr. Richter posted the knife that I carried before I became a knife guy. It was this, very simple, very basic. That's how I was. So, and then long story short, getting into the community, watching so many videos. And she had gotten a sodbuster, and it was really, really jacked up. Like on the bolsters here, they weren't even. Like one was more pronounced than the other, and there was a couple other things that were wrong with it. And like I said, I had already made these, and so I messaged her. I was like, "You can send that to me." At this point, I owned my sander. I'd done these, so I kind of knew what I was doing a little bit. Still don't know what I'm doing, but so I said, if you send it out to me for free, I'll fix it just, for shits and giggles. I was commenting on her videos, and we're starting to develop a rapport. So I was like, just send it to me, because she lives in New Hampshire. I'm in New York. It's not that far. I mean, post just like $5 for sending something like that. So I just took it, and I do have those posted in my Instagram too, but way further back. But I just cleaned it up a little bit, evened out all the edges. I think it was a centered knife, if I'm not mistaken. I think the blade was already centered, so I didn't need to do anything with that. But I just kind of evened out the edges, and God, there was something else wrong with it. But I just cleaned it up and made it a lot nicer, and made it better than the factory, as she put it. And so after that, we had gotten talking or whatever, and I had made these, and I was playing around with them, and she sent me one. Just randomly, she came across one or had one that she didn't care about because it was stainless. She just sent it to me. She's like, "Here, what you did was cool. Try playing around with it." Because I had already posted this. I had posted this, and we were talking that how cool would it be if there was a crosscut vintage micarta, this stuff with an orange G10 liner. That's where that came about. And she said, here, she sent me the knife, said, do what you want with it. And I said, okay. So I tried putting together a knife in the crosscut micarta with G10 liners, and it came out freaking good. It came out really damn good. And I think that might have been the first knife I put a half stop on, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it must have been. So I did the half stop mod as a first, did the G10, the micarta, and sent that out to her. Actually, if I remember correctly, I think I had Mr. Richter make a slip for her because it was a birthday gift. That's when I sent it to her. I had you make her a slip, and so I sent that out to her for her birthday. And so she was just blown away by it. So of course she had to post it, and as I said, the rest is history.
Nice.
Yes, she catapulted what you were doing. I bet she blew up your spot so much you didn't know what to do. Like, it used to be like almost every video she had, she was talking about you.
Well, the floodgates opened at that point, and it wasn't even as much. I mean, there were people who started inquiring right away. We call it the Slater pattern. It's the crosscut vintage micarta with orange G10. That took off. I mean, I had, can I get one? Can I get one? Can I get one? Sure. Had a big old list and take everybody down. And at first I did start taking money for, and that's another thing, actually. I don't ask for a down payment on this stuff. I have enough set aside to where I can take care of the expenses. I know for some people it's easier for them to do it, and I get that. And I will take money down if they prefer that, but I don't ask for it because I personally am not comfortable doing that in case something goes wrong or whatever. Or I don't, we've seen so many people in the community kind of screw over people, and I'm like, no.
That's nice. That's really humble of you, though. That's really cool.
Yeah. At first I did because I kind of needed the money. I was really like, oh, shoot, now I got to buy knife. And that's what I did. Like, I cleared out Deadwood Knives. I cleared out their Sodbuster Junior Delrins. I think I bought them all from them. I think they had to restock at some point. I cleared them out, and I was, okay, I got to get more knives. Got to get this. Got to get that. Oh, now I got to get sandpaper. Now I got to buy a lot more stuff more frequently. But then when I did more alterations, like started using G-Carta or the one I did with the blue jean denim micarta, that one took off too, and that's when it really started going off. Right. I was like, well, what would this look like? Well, let's try it out. So that's when that took off, and eventually I didn't really need to try too much after that. I did, after a while, start playing with Swiss Army knives. Those are something I got into too that are fun to do.
Oh, I want to see that. Let me see that.
This is one of my personal ones. This one I carry. This is in my logo. This is done with jalapeno twill G-Carta. It's like a crosscut linen.
It's kind of hard.
Do you do that the same way? Do you like Do I send you the Swiss Army knife and then tell you what I want done to it? Is that the same concept?
Preferably, yeah. I'm a little more comfortable buying the Swiss Army knives because we know those are good. This is actually an Army too, so it just has a full main blade that I put a half stop on and this little tiny hook blade. So these are fun.
So when you mod those, can you mod the tools and everything? Like add tools, take out the tools?
I haven't tried that.
Or you just do the scales? You just do the scales?
Okay.
I'm
trying to think. I think I could, in theory, maybe take away a set of tools if you wanted, but it's not something I've attempted to do. Yeah, nobody's really asked me to do that.
It's first time for everything, bro. I might be first.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I want. The problem with Swiss Army knives, the more layers you get, the harder it is to put them back together. That's the problem.
Right.
I can do the 4-layer ones. I think it's the Recruit. It's called. It's like two blades and a can opener screwdriver. So it's like.
I have the Recruit. I love the Recruit.
Yeah, I can take that apart, but the rest of them, when they get to so many different layers, I found it's easier just to take them off and take the stock ones off and epoxy new ones on. And that's most of the recovers I've done with the larger ones. The larger ones is to make a new set of scales and epoxy them on.
Okay.
Because I don't have a CNC machine, I can't. There's a couple guys that do make my Micarta scales that you can just snap back on. But because I don't have a CNC, I can't get them to where they can just pop on and off. So I have to glue them on in order for them to stay. And
I'll hit you up. I'll hit you up after this because I want a custom sack. You got me with that.
Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, if
I almost want to buy a sack and send it to them to get some of those Micarta scales on it.
Yeah, you got you when you showed that that was a clincher. You got me with that one. I was like, yeah, I like that.
I don't have any more. If you scroll in the feed, I do have some. I can put G-Carta on them like this. I've done that. I have done blue jean Micarta, which isn't that easy. Oh, good. Our moderator's here.
That's right.
Yeah, you're gonna have to scroll down a little more.
I got a question about the Swiss Army knife. I have a A-locks.
Scroll down.
Are you able to take the A-locks covers off and put a Micarta on it?
The A-lock. There's one. Yeah, there's one right there. That was done in. That was done in a Micarta that was made out of. I can't remember the name of the company, and it's going to piss me off. He actually makes Micarta out of old Army BDUs, battle dress uniforms, and so there's an Army one, Marine one, and I think an Air Force one. So that's an example of Micarta. Oh, God. I'd have to go in and read the feed as to what the company was if I remember. But if you scroll down more, I think there should be some further down. At one on the bottom or in the middle there to your. Yep. You were just on it. No. Well, that's one. Yep, that's it. Yeah, that's just blue denim with a white G10 liner.
That's cool.
Thank you.
And I have to use a Dremel, but I can mill out the slots for the toothpick and tweezers. Personally, I'd rather not do it, but if you want it, I'll do it. It's just a pay. It's just very labor intensive because you're there with the cutting wheel and you got to trace it out. But I can do that.
Yeah, I don't really use the toothpick and tweezers on mine. I really want the Recruit done. That's one of my favorite Swiss Army knives. I have two of them.
The A-Locks ones, those are pinned together, so I can swap out the A-Locks for my Micarta, but I can't reuse the A-Locks. At least I haven't tried to. I don't think I could. But I have recovered some ALOX ones because there is one that I do a lot that's the Army one, which is literally just an ALOX knife with this one blade on it. It just has the one main blade. And that one only comes in ALOX, so I just cut those off and replace it with my Carter G10.
Okay. Hey, I might be hitting you up, Josh. I got an ALOX knife. I loved some my Carter scales on it.
Yep.
It makes it hold so much better. I mean, those are actually good knives, but nobody really likes the plasticky toy feel.
Exactly.
You know,
I have an old one that I got for Christmas.
I think.
Yep.
The only ones I can't do, and I did try it, are the real Pee-wee ones, like the classic. Those are too small. I did try it, and they've got like 4 tiny little pins that hold the whole thing together. That's too much.
Okay.
A little too much for me. Yeah, you can see that one there in the middle where I snapped the blade.
Oh man, I broke your heart, dude.
Yeah.
He's almost done too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a ALOX Banter. It has a pin blade. Well, it's not a pin blade. It's a larger knife, and then it has that bottle opener on it. It's a really thin Swiss Army knife.
There's that knife you modded for Erica. Jake, can you go back up?
Yep, that's it.
Right there.
Yep. If you click on that, yeah, you can click on that. It's a slide video.
The before and after one?
No, not that one.
I'm pointing at my screen like you can see it. That one, yeah.
Yeah, you can see how. Well, I think that's the after.
Yeah. I actually made a slip that looked exactly like that knife.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess it was just that front part that was bad on the Ricasa that I just ground away and just hand sand. It literally, I think the whole time I spent on that was like maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Really?
Just grind it away and then hand sand it back to its original. It really didn't take that long.
Yeah, those were really cool.
Yeah. That was the worst example I've ever seen of that. I haven't seen that bad before.
I remember it. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. I've come across a lot of stuff. Never have I had one like that.
How much are your sack mods? Same?
Same.
Okay.
So how many people sent you the S35VN models with the hole in the blade?
I did one first. The first one I did was I actually just did it on a whim because I wanted to make like the most expensive sod buster you could. So I bought the S35VN one that was before the Crossroads. It was like a black jigged
buffalo horn.
Yeah, it was that one. That was the only one they had like that. I did that, and then I just did straight carbon fiber scales, no liners, no nothing, just straight carbon fiber, the half stop, and silver pins. Yep, that one went quick. So that was the first one, and then I got a couple requests afterwards to do that, but not that many. I've done a couple of them.
Have you thought about making? So I know you do a lot of recovers and everything. Have you ever thought about making custom slip joints or fixed blades yourself?
Well, slip joints and fixed blades are a whole. Fixed blades would be better, easier to do, I should say. Biggest issue with that is just learning how to heat treat. There's so much that goes into it as far as how to grind the edges, the heat treat itself, and that's almost that's more than I'm wanting to learn at this point. I would say if there was somebody close by that already did it, I would probably go and learn from them. But as far as I know, there's no near knife makers near me that do that sort of thing. So it's a daunting task. It's like this is only a hobby for me. This is not a way of life in any way, shape, or form. I have a full-time job, so that would be a significant investment. That
Okay.
I'm not particularly. It's not something I want to do enough to do it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, if there was somebody even remotely close, I would go and visit them and check them out. But as far as I know, there isn't any around here.
Right.
Sort of thing. And even with fixed blades, one of the things I've done recently is I've designed a couple of fixed blades and had makers make them for me, or just draw them up. I did have Steve down in Georgia. I bought for a customer a couple of blanks from Pops, and they come just cut, no heat treat, no grind, no nothing. So I bought them, and Steve was willing to heat treat them, grind them for me, and then I did the scales and all that. So I'm more happy with that. I did design with Levi over at Northern Knife Works. This knife I call the Sidekick. It's meant to be a pocket fixed blade, and this one, the first drop was in crew wear. So I've got this pocket slit for it. I wanted to really push the limit on what you could get out of a pocket fixed blade, especially with jean sizes. You know, when you're a little bigger, you can wear bigger jeans so you can fit more in there. And this kind of, I don't want to say push the limit, but I thought, at least for me and a bunch of people, this worked out good, especially with the hand. The stock is a little thicker than it needed to be for this size knife, but I just took what Levi was willing to offer. I wanted crew wear, so this was a crew wear knife, and this one's mine. And Erica got one, and I did one for JC also. I am going to have Levi do another drop of these within a couple months.
Nice.
So he's cutting the blanks.
Huh?
He's cutting the blanks, and he's heat treating them. Send them to you, and you rehandle them.
I just do the handle basically. I don't even do the edge on these because they're better at it than me. It's easy to sharpen one, but to put a brand new edge on is a little rough. So the way I have them do it now, I just have them cut it, treat it. Cut it, grind it, treat it, and then I do the rest. So, and that's worked out. You know, I pay them for it. They don't do it for free. I've had for customers, Kyle over at the Scrawny Lumberjack did a couple for me. So we've done that, and that worked out. So I'm going to have Levi in a couple months after Blade Texas. It is Blade Show Texas. I'm going to have him make a batch of these in S30V, and it's going to be a thinner blade stock. So I'm hoping that'll work out well, because these took a little while to sell. I thought they flew off, but so we're going to try again.
So bad.
So
Mike pretty much asked my question. I was going to ask the same thing.
So you got a lot of time invested in this knife stuff and in the hobby and things like that.
Yeah.
And it can burn you out. Trust me, I know, because I've been burnt out before. But what is it about the knife hobby that makes you stick around?
It's become fun. I mean, at times it's challenging, but for the most part, it's gotten to the point where it's not too challenging. Every once in a while, somebody will throw me a curveball. It's like, well, can you do this or that? Like in my last feed, I know you guys have worked with a waxed wing. I actually, not that long ago, did a Hawthorne, which I don't think there were ever scales for that. It's a skeletonized, real tiny one. And the guy wanted to make scales to attach to it. And I was like, okay, he sent me the picture, and it had just a lanyard hole and then one hole in the middle of it. So, or no, it had a different hole in the middle too, but it was a weird size. So I did end up making a set of scales for that in the crosscut micarta with the orange G10, put a lanyard tube in it for him, and he was real happy with that.
Sweet.
So that's one of the things that I've had a few people, hey, can you do it with this little fixed blade or whatever that never comes with scales? Can you do that? And it's like, well, yeah, depending on what it is. like sometimes if they're skeletonized, they'll still have holes in them. So that makes it easier for me to have a place to put pins through or fasteners of some type. Some of them don't. Yes! Can't remember which one it was. Well, even here, like this one, it's just like an Azula. It doesn't come with anything in the middle. Like, so you'd have to go way back to where I first posted this knife. So it has nothing in between the tang. Like, it's just a blank piece, no holes or nothing. So what I did was I actually cut out a piece of clear Kydex and put it in the middle and epoxied it in there and drilled out the holes. And so that helped brace it so I could put the scales on it.
Yeah, do a lot of people send you Spyderco mules?
Honestly, no. I got one of my own, and I made scales for it, and actually ended up doing my 1,000 subscriber giveaway with that knife. Surprisingly, no. And I put it out there, but no, didn't have. I think there's enough others out there that do it to where, at least that's what I think. Now, I don't think anybody else. Well, no, it's not true. RC Blade Works does them in G-Card, I think, too. So he's the only one I know of. But yeah, I think you can get. I think there's enough sources for it. At least that's my understanding.
Okay. How do you say that? Miranda EDC. I'm trying
Kane Miranda.
Kane Miranda.
Tomorrow if I can find time.
Trying to do a Sheepdog XL if I can find time.
You guys hit some questions in the comment section. If you guys have any questions for Josh, let us know in the comment section.
And I did also start working on some lockbacks here. This is a Buck Spitfire. Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, I love that color.
It's a piece of G-Carta. I can't remember what pattern it is. It's got purple G10 liners. I bought the knife because they were cheap enough. You know, the 420 HC. These aren't too expensive, but and it works just fine. I can do certain lockbacks and slip joints, especially the lockbacks if they have the metal. If they have the metal back piece here that the back spring connects to.
Mm-hmm.
If it's all plastic, that means that they've molded it so the spring just sits in there, and I can't replicate that. So it has to be a lockback that has the metal piece in there, so that then I can drill the holes, put that in there, and
right.
But
that's freaking cool looking.
What was that one that you sent me? I forgot. It was like a green handled Spyderco. What was it?
Oh, the Urban.
The Urban, yeah, dude, that knife was very cool.
Yeah, I can do those. I've done a couple of those, not nearly as many as I had thought. But I think the problem with those is that I can't use the pocket clips because they have the holes drilled in them and the slots are made. And I don't have the machine that's accurate enough to cut the slots for that little wire clip and then have it so I can screw it in there. So because I have to ditch the pocket clip, some people are okay with it. And with an Urban, I don't even know why it matters because that fits right in the
slip joint. It's
it's small enough. I don't know why. Well, I guess I know why you'd want it, but I don't know why you'd have to have it. I did do a few though in G-Carta and carbon fiber and a couple in my Carta too. And I did do a couple of the UK PKs also.
So what's next for you? Like, what's the plans? Do you have plans on like doing something new, ideas, something you haven't done you want to do?
I don't really know.
You just go and
I just kind of go with it. There's a couple things that I would do. Trying to think. Really just keep working along the folders and also doing the fixed blades. I've got a couple here that projects that I've been sitting on that I just haven't gotten around to. Like I have one of these old hickory cleavers that's just been sitting around. It's like,
he said one of these little.
Well, if you go into my feed, somebody sent me. Well, my brother-in-law gave me a cleaver to work on that was probably twice the size of this.
Oh,
it was super heavy. That one I did. That was a fun project because it was so ridiculous. But yeah, I've got a couple of these old hickories that I've just been sitting on. I offered them up to do them for people. Hit me up if you want something. Didn't get a response really, so I've just been kind of sitting on them, thinking about what to do. Like this one especially, I was like, maybe I could cut it down to a Warncliffe or something. But
my grandma has that same knife right there, that old hickory. I got it sitting right over there, and I use it all the time.
Yep, they're great.
And the handle's smooth, wore out on that dude. The only reason I haven't redone it is because it was hers, and
Yeah.
But I got another one, the butcher one. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, that one. I use those freaking things in the kitchen a lot. I
need to buy one of those old hickory. I think JC was the one that told me about getting an old hickory for like food prep.
Yeah,
I like it for like a barbecue knife or something. I freaking love working on them.
Yeah, they're really good for it. And they're still. I mean, I know they don't make them anymore, but they're everywhere. You can still get these.
Yeah, you can get them on eBay easy.
Well, eBay, or I think even some of you could probably still get them on Knife Center and places like that. Amazon's a good one for that. This is the 7-inch one, and I actually made this and threw it out there, and nobody wanted it, so I just put it in my kitchen. I've used it, and they patina fast.
Yeah, they do.
This simple 1095 patina is wicked fast. So
I need to get one of those. I need to get an old hickory for all my grilling needs.
Yep, there you go. I think you remember, Mike, the one I did not that long ago. I think it was a 9-inch one, but it was a case. It was an old case, butcher knife, same style, but just a little longer. That one was fun. I do enjoy. I actually really do. I like recovering knives, but if somebody sends me in something old that I can breathe life back into, that's a little more satisfying in a way. It's kind of a rehab type thing, like with the old cleaver, the butcher knives, or even the old pocket knives. People have sent me in cases to do for them, the sod busters to do, and they've been from the 70s. And when I take them apart, the amount of crap that's in them, or the amount of corrosion that's in there from those old is insane. So that's actually fun to be able to do that.
Is that probably like the most popular knife that you recover is a sod buster?
Yeah, it's been the most. Even after I branched out, it's still been the most popular. I stopped doing them for a little while, but then enough people kept wanting them. I said, okay, I don't know. It's gotten to the point now where I can really turn these out pretty quickly. I mean, I can have it. I'll have it back to you from the time I get it, unless something's crazy going on in my life. I'll have it back out in the mail in a week, give or take.
Nice. Oh, yeah. That's a good turnaround time.
Yeah, even when I was my busiest, I was still able to get them done pretty quickly. Like I said, I have a full-time job, but I come home from work around 3 o'clock or whatever. I got a few hours before I got to go to bed. And then on the weekends, if nothing's going on, I'll do that. Especially with these, like in the summertime when it's nice out, I'll get this built and rough cut, and I'll just sit outside on my porch and do all the hand sanding right there, and I'm happy. I'll just sit there and do that. Like, instead of the old man whittling on a stick, I'm just hand sanding this stuff. That's perfectly fine with me.
Sanding.
He's in his head. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially we'll go up into our family place up in the Adirondacks, and I'll be sitting outside. There'll be a fire going. I'll be drinking beer, and I'll just be anyway, not care in the world.
Nice.
That's one of the fun
things. Great time, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've done stuff like that, and I've had fun coming up with a couple designs. I haven't gotten too much into that, but as far as making them, I haven't really. It's been asked if I would do it, but it's just there's a lot there. There's just too much for me, and I don't, and as you know, there's so getting your name out there is really hard to establish yourself, and it's just
Hey, we can help with the name building.
well, yeah. It's hard to make a living at it. I mean, even as a modder, I don't know of anybody that mods even full time, and even knife makers. There's a few of them that do it, and God bless them if they can make a living off of it. Then you're doing something right.
Yeah, it's a good side hustle. I'll say that.
Are you in New York? Yes. Upstate New York. For the record.
Did you get hit with all that snow?
No. I mean, we've been getting hit with snow, but that stuff you see on the news was south of us. We didn't get any of that.
Oh, okay.
No, not a part of that. I'm far enough away from that area of the state that I want nothing to do with.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. All that snow.
So we're about an hour in. We'll go ahead and stop right here and end it. But before we do, go ahead and tell them, the folks that wasn't here earlier, where can they find you at?
You can find me on knife_guy2112 at Gmail or on Instagram. That's my handle. And then I do have an email. You can reach out to me on KnifeGuyMods at gmail.com. Okay. Be a little patient. I'm going to get better at checking that, especially after this. But before, I'm not as fast replying to that as I am with the Instagram. But again, even if you have questions, I do get people occasionally hit me up for just some advice on, like, you know, how can you set, how would you center the, let's say they get a sod buster and it's not centered. I mean, like, there's blade play. Okay, well, first I say go on YouTube and look up the videos, but basically, you know, put it down on a softer surface, kind of tamp it down with a little hammer to try and get it to squeeze back together. Occasionally I get it hit up with just advice, and that's fun to do.
Okay. Cool.
All right, Damien, you want to close this out?
Yeah, guys. Thank you guys for joining in here. Remember to subscribe to Grady's Gear, Richter Knives, Replicant EDC, and Josh Francis. Look him up on Instagram at KnifeGuy2112 on Instagram. He has awesome stuff. You guys hit him up for all your recover needs. And yeah, guys, thank you guys for joining in. And we will see you guys next Friday, baby.
Thank you, Josh, for joining us, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Enjoy yourself.
Enjoyed it.
Yep.